What's up, guys? Adam from Splendid Sports, Dylan from Double D Vintage Baseball Cards. We're back for another edition of Turn Back the Clock. This is number 18. How's it going, Dylan?
Really good. I was talking to you before, I am super excited to talk to you about baseball cards and the topics that we have tonight. And as you can see behind me, I finished a new display. It's giant. You can't see the whole thing. And I engineered it really special. And tonight is the night I get to decorate it. So after this, I'm going to continue on with baseball cards for at least 3 hours because this one's like a huge project and all my major cards are going to be on this wall. So I'm excited to talk to you about what we have in line tonight, like stuff that I'm going to learn a lot about and stuff that I have really strong opinions about. So thank you for coming up with these topics, Adam. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we got a couple topics we'll spend like 10, 15 minutes each on. But before we get into those, we're looking actually for a lot of feedback too. Because we're going to give opinions, and it would be great if we could hear opinions back in the comments. But before we get to that, I got to thank two people. And the first one is great channel, great guy. Had him on my channel recently for a 3 and 3, and that's Darren from Return to Collecting. Newer channel, but man, this guy's got an incredible collection. And I can't tell you, man, he sent me a package just out of the blue, and I open it up, and man, he gave me a Larry Bird Prism autograph card. Look at that.
That's
Larry Bird auto card.
insane. What's wrong with that guy? That's crazy.
Look how shiny it is and cool.
Dude.
Man, I just can't believe he gave me a Larry Bird auto card.
That's insane.
Look at this thing. It's incredible. So Darren, man, I can't thank you enough. I know you didn't do it to get something in return, but you're getting something in return. I'm gonna get you something. So thank you so much for this. But yeah, just I don't know what to say. I'm not used to getting gifts like this.
Yeah, that's what this community is so crazy. You get things that not in your wildest dreams. It's like you get things that you would have entered contest for, and if you won, you would have been like just screaming to the rooftops, and guys give them to you, and then you spread that too, and you gave me a Yount rookie card randomly autographed at the National. Like moments happen, and those are meant to be spread and then continue on the snowball. And Darren, give a shout out. He's a guy that I met him at the National, but I hadn't watched very much of his channel. I didn't know much about him, and I didn't talk to anyone one-on-one very long. But this next year, if he's there, I would love to sit down with him and talk to him longer. His channel is awesome, and I'm a sucker like you for the countdowns, and he's doing a countdown just like Iconic Al, and his version and his take, I think it's fantastic. I think everyone could do a countdown, and I would watch every single one of them. So, and his collection just insane. Like
he picks up massive cards, man.
Massive.
Somehow I missed that he picked up that shoeless Joe Jackson card. I don't know how I missed that, but now I just found out about it. So yeah, like you got to watch his videos because you'll see some crazy big cards. I love it.
And his wife collects Mickey Mantle, so he's just like, I mean, come on. If my wife collected Mickey Mantle, I'd just be like in card heaven.
And his wife happens to have the same birthday as my wife, same as Mickey Mantle too. They're both.
Oh wow, 20th. That's why. That's insane. Yeah. That's spectacular.
So thank you, Darren. And the second person I have to thank is you, because I'm embarrassed to say this, but I'm just now getting around to going through my backpack from the National. I like put it in a closet, and I haven't really gone through it. All the stuff. This is, I don't know. What it was September. It's like 2 months ago. So I knew you gave me this awesome Turn Back the Clock Reggie Jackson card because I could see it from the package. Like when you gave it to me, I was like, what? But I didn't actually open the whole thing. So look at this PSA 10 Tiffany Reggie Jackson. And not only did you give me this, but you gave me the original too, which is fantastic. I needed this one because I'm putting a binder together of Turn Back the Clock cards with their originals. And yes, I will be sending, this is a good lead into one of the topics today. I will be sending this one into PSA, and we're going to talk about that. But I love this card, and thank you so much. And not only that, but I had no clue that you also included this incredible 2000 finest Pedro card, which I don't have. This was one I was missing.
I pulled
So
that. I pulled that in a pack.
yeah, it's looks gem mint to me. Gem mint.
That's
So this
awesome.
one's going to PSA too. Either way, it's an awesome gift. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I pulled that in a pack this year. I bought a packet in Washington with my nephew, and I pulled that. So I was like, dude, this is Adams. They had your name on it right when I pulled it.
Oh, I love so thank you so much. And
Yeah,
my
you're welcome.
apologies for not really recognize it until like
Dude,
2 months later. So it just
you
I've been way
recognized it
behind
in
them.
the flesh. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. But that is a good lead into this is okay. So the first topic that we want to talk about here is this is something that's I've heard over and over on podcasts, YouTube, when people are talking about grading cards, submitting cards to PSA or whatever grading company that you submit to. You hear people all the time. They say something like, this card isn't worth grading or not a card that would make sense to grade. And every time I hear that, it kind of, I guess, bugs me a little bit because I think one of the most misunderstood things in the hobby, in the graded card world, is when people assume that the only reason that people grade cards is for financial reasons. That the only reason that they grade them is to increase the value of their cards. Now, I'm not going to deny that's definitely a part of it, and especially for dealers and people who flip cards, sell cards, short term, or even long term. If you want your collection to be more valuable, then grading makes a lot of sense, right? But I want to put it out there and obviously get your opinion and feedback as well as people in the comments. Do you hear that? I mean, I hear that like a lot of people assume that why would you grade a card unless it's going to be worth more than like the grading cost or whatever? Because I personally have graded many cards, actually sent them in that knowing they're not going to get a 10 or whatever, knowing that probably the cost to grade them is the card's not even going to be worth that much, but I still want it slabbed up. I still want it graded. Before I give my reasons why, do you find yourself ever in that same situation?
Oh, absolutely. And obviously, I get cards graded for the same reason of, I want to sell the card or I just had the card in my collection ungraded for all these years. I know the story to the card. I want the card graded because it looks really good graded. It becomes a different collection. My collection, I have two collections going. One that's graded and one that is ungraded that I grade myself that go in binders. And I literally consider them completely separate collections, and I will have duplicate cards in both collections, but I don't consider them the same. One is in my graded collection, one is in my ungraded collection. And until I move that one that's ungraded into the graded collection, it doesn't exist in my card collection, in my graded card collection. It's a weird thing. I know I'm not the only one that thinks like this. And some people think we're nuts, but anyone who's graded cards understands that the label that's on these cards, the work up here, it looks like a museum piece when it is all finished. And that's what I love about them. I love the fact that this thing is done. It's in its final resting place. I don't have to holder this card 20 times like I do in my other collections because I switch the way I'm doing things and change things. This is in its final state, and it just looks like a museum piece when it's done. And when I say this and I mean this, when I'm dead, my wife or whoever is left over with these cards can simply send these to someone. I just say PWCC or an auction house or whoever, send them there, have them sell them, and they're done. They don't have to do anything else. So there's so many reasons to get a card graded. And I've seen guys like Chris from Missouri gets his collection graded. And yes, a lot of the cards he gets graded are low grade, and it doesn't matter. The point is when he gets it, he's had the card forever. He doesn't want a different one. He gets it graded, say the card's still only worth $15 after he gets it graded. When he's long gone, his wife or someone else is going to be able, he's talked about this, will be able to take that card and sell it without any issues. Even if it's only $10 and you spent $20 graded. The point is there's value in it, not only in the value of the card after it's slabbed, but value of having the information professionally done on the top and the way these display and the way you keep these. I don't care about the protection. Some people talk about the protection. Dude, you can buy any sleeve and it's going to be protected. You could buy the point is the labeling and the system you can put these in, and there's so much that is a benefit to grading. And I always say it's the greatest thing that ever happened to collecting is graded cards. And I stand by that because I wouldn't be collecting cards if it wasn't for graded cards, because the vintage, it opened the world of vintage to me. I'm okay with other people having other opinions, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, and that was my main point here is, the people who say this, they're probably not even going to see this or whatever, but if they happen to, the message I kind of want to get out there is, again, not everyone sends in cards to PSA or SGC or whatever for monetary reasons, short-term monetary reasons. Some people just like the end result of a graded card. They like the way it looks. I love the labels. I love how sleek it is. For me, like if a one touch doesn't cost the same as to grade a card, all right, $15 to send it into PSA or whatever. One touches cost, I don't know, whatever. But I personally like the way cards look better in a slab than a one touch or a top loader or whatever. Like, that's just me, personal opinion. So I like to slab up cards, even though I know they won't get a great grade, or they might even be worth $5 after I send them in, regardless. It could be a $5 slab, but I still want it. That's the way I want it for consistency. And I want to steal something from a show I like to watch and listen to, the Crossover. It's a lot of basketball and football, so there's not a ton of baseball stuff on there. The guys who run Card Ladder, they primarily collect basketball and football, but I still enjoy their takes on the hobby, and they talk about some bigger issues, and it's funny too. They're funny guys, so
I used to listen to them all the time.
But on I think it was the last episode, Chris McGill, who I've had on my channel for 3 and 3, he said, like, one of the things he said was kind of along these lines, is like, he knows that it's kind of childish or whatever, like people might snark at it or whatever, but he loves slabs too. He loves cards in slabs with the label, and I think the term he used was, it makes them look official. And again, he's poking fun at himself saying this. We know that people will be like, what? But I feel kind of the same way, in the way that, like, the end result of a slabbed up card from PSA or whatever, it just feels like more official to me, and it feels like more of a collectible. And I know it's not the best way to stretch your hobby dollar, certainly not. But that's just a certain lane that I've chosen to go down. So I also think, it can actually enhance many, many cards. Here's an example. I just got this one recently. Look at this color match, baby. Like, this card, obviously, it's worth more than the grading fee, regardless of usually whatever the grade comes back as. But, like, the PSA label with the red on the card and his cap and everything, like, for me, this enhances the card even more. It's an all-time great card. I love this card. But just having it in a PSA slab, I feel like it's even cooler for me.
Yeah.
So that's I want to put this out there, because if you do think that way, that, like, why would you ever grade a card, that's not going to be worth more than $15 after it's graded? I want to get that out there so that maybe some people can understand where we might come from with certain ways of thinking and the way that we collect. So
yeah, I think it makes so much sense. I mean, I also want to show people that if you don't watch my channel, I do my own grades and I have my own slabs. And when I have an entire wall with these displayed on it, and it looks absolutely awesome. And they look like, a poor man's version of a graded card. And that's a one way for me to make this card legitimate. Like you just talked about, this card to me is now a legit collectible piece because it has a label, it has a grade, it has what year and the player. And when anyone's looking at this, they know exactly what it is. And like your friend said, it legitimizes the card. And to me, instead of just having a pile of cards, you have cards that have labels and tells you what they are. And we, as collectors, we're creating our own museums, and it's really cool to share them with people who don't collect cards, and there's labels on them. Whether you share it one time a year with some random person who comes over, or a friend, the labels say everything you need to know about the card. And I absolutely love graded cards. I love doing my own graded cards. But from my personally graded cards, I will upgrade them when they're worth grading, when the card's worth the money to get graded. So that's when I flip these over to an actual graded card. So there's just it is really fun, and there is no wrong way. There isn't. If you want to just pay to have your cards graded, man, that's just awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. It's part of the cost of it.
And I would argue a PSA graded card has more utility than a card that's not graded, right? For having fun and enjoyment in the hobby. Now, if the PSA set registry isn't for you, fine, but it is for a lot of people. A lot of people find a lot of enjoyment out of it, and it adds to their hobby experience. So this card raw, you can't use it in the registry, right? But you can when it's in a PSA slab. So it has more utility, at least for me, who likes to do the PSA set registry. So it's like there's more things you can do with it, right? You can use it in the registry. You can display it better. You can sell it easier if you ever needed to sell it. But even aside from selling or money, I just feel like as a collectible, for me, I like them in the slabs better.